That's fine. As always, come hang out with us on Tip Pranks TV. I'm going to be there answering your questions. Hang out with us. I'm going to be there personally answering your questions as well. Come hang out with us, Tip Pranks TV. The link is going to be below. See you there. Hey, this is Tom Nash, and welcome to The Value Investor. And today, I have a major development for you, which most people actually missed. There's a very interesting article in Bloomberg that may have massive impact on oil prices, the status of the US dollar, the US economy. There's big things happening behind the scenes while everybody's busy with the big headlines. Check it out. So in case you haven't noticed, we have this very interesting development between Saudi Arabia and the US. Now, before I talk about that and the article I saw in Bloomberg, you have to understand the basis of this discussion. Now, I know it's very nerdy, but trust me, you want to hear this. This has massive impact on you, on the way we live in the US, and our economy, and everything. So the US economy and its great success, like Borat would say, is predicated on a term called petrodollars. Now, the petrodollars were basically a 1973 birth coming out of Richard Nixon and Saudi Arabia. In 1973, Saudi Arabia, which was and still is the most dominant member of OPEC, along with the UAE, and OPEC being the cartel of the petroleum producers, which produce 80% of the world's oil, made a deal to essentially trade strictly in US dollars. Basically, OPEC will only sell in US dollars since 1973. Now, you may ask yourself, well, OPEC is just UAE and Saudi Arabia? No, but it's like NATO. Saudi Arabia and UAE, they move in concert and they call the shots. So since 1973, the world has been trading strictly in US dollars for oil, at least 80% of it. And that has basically elevated the US dollar to a whole new status, the world's reserve currency. That causes everything to be done in dollars. The hedging for oil deals themselves, there's massive demand for the US dollar by definition, allowing the US government to essentially print money as much as they want and avoid inflation on the US dollar. It's always going to be more in demand than any other currency in the world. It's a basic system that basically created this economic insane paradise that is the United States. And if you don't believe me, go see how other people live in other countries. Trust me, the US is an economic paradise. You haven't seen how bad things can get. Trust me, I've known, I've seen, I've been. Don't judge the US so badly. Sometimes you're your own worst critic, and people in the US tend to be very critical of their own country and their own economy. Trust me, the US economy is legit the best economy in the world. I wouldn't bet against that or the US dollar. But now we've seen very interesting development. There's a lot of people who are hating on the US dollar. And by hated, I mean warn people from the collapse of the US dollar, the US economy, and the status of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency for many, many years. Now, mostly for decades, people have laughed at these predictors. Now, recently, they've been getting more and more steam because the relationship between the United States and the main member of OPEC, which is Saudi Arabia, has pretty much gone south. They've gone sideways. They don't have a good relationship. As evidence, we can see that when Joe Biden actually tried to pick up the call and let Saudi know, hey, we need your help. We need you to produce more oil to compensate for what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, basically asking OPEC, the world's cartel of oil production, to increase production to reduce the prices of oil. Saudi didn't even pick up the phone. Imagine that. Not taking a call from the US president, right? That means the relationships are bad. Reportedly, Biden is only talking to Mohammed bin Salman, the guy who's in charge in Saudi Arabia. He's only talking to his dad. He's not directly talking to him. Both hate each other. The United States is still very pissed off from the alleged assassination of the Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi, who was allegedly assassinated by Saudis in Turkey. And of course, the Saudis are also mad at the US for not supporting their fight against the Yemenis rebels, which are basically bombing their own locations and basically risking their oil production. Aramco has been hit a few times. And also, the Saudis are not happy about the deal with Iran. Iran is the enemy of Saudi Arabia. And now the US is basically trying to get a deal done with Iran to allow them nukes. There's one thing Saudi Arabia does not want is Iranian nukes. And of course, everybody just saw US sanction Russia. And this whole new debate started, well, US is not stable because they'll sanction you if you don't agree with their policies and they'll take away your money, right? So this whole movement started this debate of the loss, of potential loss at least, of the world's reserve currency status from the US dollar. And it didn't help when last week an article came out in Wall Street Journal saying, hey, Saudi Arabia is considering using yuans as form of payment for sales of oil to China. Now that came out and everybody started going gaga. Now a day later, Saudi's officials came out and said, "Hey, this is total fake news. We didn't say that. We didn't say that." Whether they said it and they denied it, or they didn't say it and they denied it, or whether this was a whole orchestrated play to do this on purpose, it doesn't matter. Saudis sent a message to the US government saying, "Hey, you guys should treat us with more respect. We have needs as well. You're taking us for granted. We have China over here trying to get some of your cake. We might give it to them." Now, of course, there's many reasons why Saudi cannot go through with a deal like that, for many, many reasons, starting with US investments in their oil industry, US investments in their plan to revamp their economy out of energy into an actual sustainable economy by 2030. There's a lot of money on the ground, US money, US companies. There's security issues that they have the US to depend on. It's a completely symbiotic relationship. Saudi Arabia and the United States need each other completely. And any loss of this relationship is going to be very detrimental to both. So this is nothing more than a leverage play by Saudi Arabia, but it did cause a lot of people to start talking about, oh, there's the first chinks in the armor. And the question was, I guess, how would the US respond to this? Because there was two options. Option number one, the US could have said, "Hey, you guys are rude and we're going to go at you. You know, we think that you might need a little bit more freedom over there in Saudi Arabia, right? You guys need more freedom over there. How about Operation Saudi Freedom? How does that sound to you?" Essentially threaten them, bully them, go in mainstream media and talk about the assassination of Jamal Khashoggi, make the Yemenis rebels look good, continue this love affair with Iran. None of this really happened. If you notice, mainstream media has been completely quiet on this. Iranian deal has stalled for other reasons as well. And basically, the US has said nothing. Now, today, we finally saw in Bloomberg an article hidden in the back pages of Bloomberg, way in the back, that the US official confirmed, unnamed US official confirmed, that the United States provided multiple massive amounts of Patriot missiles to Saudi Arabia to protect itself against Yemenis rebels, the Houthis. And the thing is that this is an indication of where things are going. Every good relationship or every defrosting of a frozen relationship starts with a gesture. And obviously, petrodollars will be here to stay, and the people who predict the loss of their world reserve currency status will be again predicting 57 out of the last 0 crashes of the US dollar. That's fine. As always, come hang out with us on Tip Pranks TV. I'm going to be there answering your questions. Hang out with us. I'm going to be there personally answering your questions as well. Come hang out with us, Tip Pranks TV. The link is going to be below. See you there.